December 1991. I actually have an anecdote for this list. We'll get to it at the appropriate time. But for now, we're just going to jump right in to the books that I read in December 1991. And we start with The Autumn Dead by Ed Gorman. This is a Jack Dwyer novel, part of the series. And Jack runs into an old girlfriend. She asks him to pick up a suitcase that she left with an ex-lover. And when Jack does that, he finds the ex-lover unconscious. And after he revives the guy, finds out the suitcase is missing. And he needs to talk to the ex-lover. Goes to their reunion. People start dying. Jack's got to figure out what the hell's going on. It's Ed Gorman. It's good stuff. What else is there to say? I don't know. You should be reading Ed Gorman if you like mysteries. Next up, Night Kills by Ed Gorman. And this is about a guy named Frank Bolin. This is a standalone novel, I believe. And so Frank Bolin is an ad man. I believe Ed Gorman worked in ads, whatever. He was a madman. Anyway, so Frank Bolin, he's an ad guy, and he's framed for murder. And someone keeps killing people, framing Frank for it. Frank's got to figure out what the hell's going on before he goes to jail. And then prison. Again, Ed Gorman, good stuff. He's a great writer. Book number 3 for December 1991. The Adept. However you pronounce it. A-D-E-P-T. By, Catherine Kurtz and Deborah Turner Harris. This is the first in a series. And the character's name is something. Sir Adam Sinclair. And he's like a philosopher and, sort of a man about town kind of. Well, I don't know. He's got all sorts of hobbies, but he's also a magician, and he's fighting black magicians who are trying to overrun Scotland with the undead. So it's urban fantasy. Would it fall under that category? Not quite sure, but this is obviously before Jim Butcher's Dresden Files, but the same kind of thing in the same family, I believe it's modern day, at least at the time, but a guy who uses magic to fight other magic, supernatural things. I don't remember how I felt about it, but I don't know that there's the rest of the series in here, so must not have been blown away. Next up, Dancing Aztecs by Donald E. Westlake. And this is, there's a South American country, and they have this statue of a dancing Aztec, and someone decides to make a bunch of copies to sell, but the guy that makes the copies switches one of the copies for the original, so he can sell the original, make a ton of money, and all these people are looking for it, and it's one of those hilarious Donald E. Westlake crime caper kind of things. Another fantastic writer, Donald E. Westlake. And speaking of Donald E. Westlake, the next book is Sacred Monster by Donald E. Westlake. Look at that. This is about a guy named Jack Pine who was born to be a star, and so he becomes one. Big Hollywood star. And his boyhood friend, buddy pal. What kind of name is Buddy Pal? And Buddy basically is just riding Jack Pine's coattails and keeping a secret about Jack. Maybe blackmailing him? I don't know. I feel like this might be the book where if it is this book, it would be Jack Pine walks in on his wife having sex with Buddy, and but he stops because they're caught, and the wife is just like, I'm almost done. Don't stop. And Jack walks out. Something that's absolutely seen in a book I've read, and I think it might be this one. Not 100% sure. If you know, let me know. But another great Donald D. Westlake book. All right, it's going to be anecdote time because the next book is Marathon Man by William Goldman. Classic. So, apparently, back in December 1991, I was at a small gathering of people. There was maybe half a dozen of us or so just hanging out at somebody's house. And people were just doing all sorts of different things. I believe there was a pool table. And so there'd be two people playing, and then, someone would play the winner, and then someone would play the winner of that game. So we're all kind of waiting our turns to play pool, and there's little pockets of people talking. I feel like there was a Game Boy being passed around, and people were playing games. And at one point, I was just kind of sitting there and looking at the bookshelves, of course, and Marathon Man was a book that was on the shelf. So I pulled it off the shelf and started reading it while I was waiting for my turn to play pool. And after this gathering, like the next day, immediately went out and got a copy so I could finish reading it because it's absolutely fantastic. So it's about this, I believe he's a college student who runs marathons, who gets caught up in this conspiracy. It's one of those average man caught up in big events. Of course, the big thing from the movie, which stars Dustin Hoffman, is the whole dentist scene where you have this seemingly sadistic dentist has the Dustin Hoffman character, I don't remember his name, the Marathon Man, in the chair, and he keeps asking him, "Is it safe? Is it safe?" And sort of torturing him with dental tools, trying to find out if it's safe. And fantastic book. I had never seen the movie. I just knew of that scene. So I went into this almost completely blind. And it's one of those books that starts off with a scene that seemingly has nothing to do with the rest of the book until you find out that it actually has. It's the catalyst for everything that goes on in the book and why. There's a sequel, which will come up eventually on this list. But, fantastic book. William Goldman, such a great writer. We're going to see quite a bit more of his work in these videos. But I think this is the first of his books that I read and loved it. Another one that I should reread. And all because I was at a gathering and waiting to play pool. And finally, Batman, To Stalk a Spectre by Simon Hawke. And in this book, this notorious drug lord has been captured, is being sent to prison in the United States, and some really super bad guys are trying to free him. And of course, essentially, according to the description, because I haven't read it since 1991, and I don't have a copy of it. I thought I did, but I don't. They take Gotham hostage, essentially. Free the drug guy, or everybody in Gotham dies. So, of course, Batman has to save the day. Simon Hawke's a good author. I believe this is the same guy that wrote the Time Wars series that's really good. And, it's a Batman novel. There were like 3 that came out around the same time. I have 2 of them. This is the one I don't have. But that's it. Couple Ed Gorman, couple Donald Westlake, couple randomish ones. So there you go. Not much else to say about that. Just some books that I read in December 1991. And then, next video, we're going to move on to a new year, obviously. And holy cow, that is a lot of books coming up in the new year. January alone. Whew, that looks like 18 books, 17, 18 books I read in January. That's going to be a longer video than this one. All right, so my question for this video is, if you are at a party or a gathering and you saw a book on a shelf or a table that looked interesting, would you sit down and read a little bit of it? Or are you more social than I am? That's not the only party / gathering that I've done some reading at. What are your feelings on that? Do you go to parties or gatherings? It wasn't a party. It was just a bunch of people that got together to hang out. Do you do that sort of thing? Normally. I know we're in through the looking glass over this past year or so, but under normal circumstances, are you a social person? And if so, would you step out of that social circle for a moment and do a little reading? I know, it's a weird question. Obviously, I would. That's my answer. I did it. And now I don't, I'm really not that social. I can hang out with a couple of people at a time, and that's it. Yeah, all right. That's all I've got. Let me know your answer down below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post spoiler warning. We try to be polite here on my channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronin5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is Eric Smith 5757. That's Eric with a K, ERIKSMITH 5757. That's all I have for you this time. So until next time, read more books.